All right, welcome back to the grind. Welcome back to the channel. If you watched the last video, you'll know that my track day didn't end so hot. I was able to drive the car home, so I don't think anything like mechanical is bad, but it is not running right. If you didn't watch the last video, you might want to go back and watch that, but basically, under certain conditions, basically under probably more than half throttle, this thing seems to freak out. And it runs kind of rich, then really lean, and then back to really rich. Something's not right there. And it sounds like it's misfiring, probably because it's so super rich or super lean. Has basically no power and will not idle either. It won't go back to idle. So the problem happens when you push the throttle past about half, and then it continues to occur until the car is shut off. And then once you power cycle the Holley system and turn it back on, then it'll start up and it'll idle just fine like nothing happened. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It seems like it might be electrical. We're going to start with the spark plugs and just take a look at them, make sure they look decent. My tuner suggested it could be an injector that's kind of wigging out. So if that's the case, one of these spark plugs will show that it's super rich more than the others. Because all I know is that AFR coming off the O2 sensor on bank 1 is the one that's reading super rich and super lean. So we'll go ahead and pull all the spark plugs on both sides, but the O2 sensor is only reading on bank 1. So if that's not the case, someone else has suggested that it could be a bad throttle position sensor, that once it goes past half, it has some sort of short or something and it kind of freaks out the Holley system. I understand I can check that with an oscilloscope. I don't think I have an oscilloscope. I might have a tool that might have that feature. And they're not super expensive, so I might just buy another one and throw it in there and then take it for a drive and see what that does. So we're going to dive in here and see where we get. And this video may just cover fixing this issue, or we might cover something else as well if this doesn't take too long to solve. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to solve.
Okay, I pulled the spark plugs and they've all got just a little bit of white showing. They're definitely running rich, but not one of them looks worse than the others. You can, so the porcelain's still white, that one's not as much, but none of them look obviously richer than the others, as if there's an injector stuck open. So I guess we'll throw these back in and look for other issues. I'm kind of wondering, I might throw just a throttle position sensor in there and take it for a drive and see if that does anything. I'm not sure.
Okay, I've got the spark plugs thrown back in there since they looked fine. Everything's plugged back in. Next, I think I'm gonna take a look at this throttle position sensor. The replacement was only 40 bucks at O'Reilly's, 45 I think, after tax. And so rather than trying to figure out how to test the old one, I just went and bought a replacement. This one is strained pretty hard. It's like at the limit. Like it's not super strained, but it is at the limit. And as the motor flexes, maybe that's causing an issue. So I think I'm just going to cut this and splice in a couple inches of wire there. Probably only need like 2 inches to give it plenty of room to move, just to make sure that that isn't part of the issue here. The TPS did not fix it. Was able to finally get this thing out. It's been kind of overcast, or I just haven't had the time since I replaced it. So it's been a few days, but I got it out this morning and just did a second gear pull at like 30 mile an hour. And
and it immediately exhibited the same problem, started running rough, and then pulled over to a parking lot, shut it off, started it right back up, and it worked fine. And as long as I stay out of it, it runs fine. So I was data logging, so I'll take a look at that, see if I can see anything that's obvious. But right now, I'm thinking it's got to be a wiring issue or a sensor somewhere. It just doesn't make sense. If it was mechanical, I think something wrong with the motor. It'd be running bad all of the time, not just only when I go watt and then continue to run bad directly after the watt. Turn it right back off, turn it right back on, same heat in the motor. It runs fine. So the investigation continues. Okay, I was staring at this data log and just looking at every possible sensor, trying to see if I could detect anything in this data log that would indicate what the problem is. I actually took it out for a drive a couple days ago and made sure I could reliably duplicate the problem and took a data log at the same time. So this is not from the track session, though the track session I've actually gone back and looked at it and verified that the same symptoms occur in the track session data log as well. So this is just a quick drive, and then right here at the end is where the problem actually occurs. Let's see if I can zoom in on this here. Bottom is AFR, throttle position, and RPM, and you can see at AFR is tracking along here, and then when the problem occurs, AFR goes full rich, and it's like, I mean, it's as rich as the sensor will read at 9.55. But also what happens is this target direct injection, the DI fuel pressure, and the actual rail pressure tracks along. This is in bar because this is direct injected, talking about really high pressures, so 133 bar, 129 bar there. And then right here in the middle of this spike to high pressure, the rail pressure drops off. The car is still calling for DI fuel pressure here, but the line for the actual rail pressure drops from 0, and basically a single data point. Let me see if I can represent this, but it basically drops to 0 and remains at 0, and then the pulse width on the injectors skyrockets because it's seeing 0 pressure on the rail, and so it's trying to open those injectors as much as possible to try and keep fuel in. And in reality, the fuel rail pressure is still there, I'm pretty sure, because otherwise it wouldn't be so rich. So I think I'm actually looking at a sensor, the fuel pressure sensor on the rail. So we're going to pick one of those up and throw it in and hope that solves the problem. Success. I got the fuel pressure sensor thrown in there a few days ago. It might even be in a week now, but it's been cold and rainy, and just really haven't had a chance to get this thing out. So this evening, it was finally almost 70 degrees today,
and a little overcast, but not raining and not cold. And I was able to get it out, push it a little bit, and it's definitely driving right. The fuel pressure on the dash actually reads a few pounds higher too. So I'm pretty sure that that sensor has failed at this point. I mean, it's driving perfectly now, and I can get into it and lay into it. And I think I took it up to about 5,000 RPM. Really, the problem was happening around 4 anyway. So pretty confident that the problem is fixed. It's too bad that it interrupted the track day, but it's ready to go now. It's November now, and winter is upon us, so I won't get a lot of driving done, but it'll be ready for the nice day here and there during the winter where I'll be able to take it out, and ready for the track and autocross in the spring. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.